which is JJ Humphrey. We're on Elephant in the Room. I've lost my road dog, old Bobby Cleveland. You know, it's March Madness week, and I will tell you, Cleveland he's the most basketball watching guy. I stay with him all the time. He's watching either basketball or baseball constantly. Baseball be coming on, he'll be watching that. I like the basketball, but the baseball, I can't never keep up with that. But he took off today, so I had an opportunity to get some other guests. But what I wanted to do is just take a little bit of time and talk about what is going on at the Capitol and what I see and what I'm doing, because a lot of people will look at, well, JJ, you're not getting any bills passed this year. So I just want to address that. Let me give you a couple of examples of some bills that I worked on a sheriff's bill last year, because, you know, there's only a certain way you can give money to the sheriffs. And so what happens is that if you give that money to the counties, it has to be divvied out between the county elected officials. So you have to come up with a pretty out of the box thinking to give them a raise. I worked with sheriffs across the state and come up with some ideas and some ways to do that. And guess what? Then the association, the Sheriff's Association, comes into me when we were filing bills last year. And I'd already filed this bill quite a bit ahead of time. And they come in and said, well, JJ, we're not going to back you on your bill. We're going to back the budget chairman. Okay. So here's the thing. I get that. Who's going to have better luck passing the bill? Of course, the budget chairman's going to be. He's got more stroke than I do. But instead of coming in and saying, hey, we're going to hijack your bill, we're going to steal it from you, and we're going to take it over here and give it to this guy, which I would have said fine, because he has more likely. Our goal ought to be getting the legislation passed. But instead, they hijack the bill, act like he come up with it. Hey, this guy didn't know nothing about law enforcement. He couldn't even talk the bill when it was on the floor. But that's what they do. They steal it. I was listening to a person right before I come on here, and he's on the internet now talking about how Oklahoma legislators have failed because guess what? The legislation they have produced to stop foreign ownership of land. So like the Russians coming in here and buying land, the Chinese coming in here and buying land. I'm more worried on the Chinese, but I'm against any of it, okay? So me and David Bullard passed a bill that said that you got to sign in the documents that when you're buying that you have no association, no attachment. Now, guys, you think, well, okay, what did that bill do? It didn't do a whole lot, because let me tell you, the AG got a hold of it and watered it down, my understanding, okay. And again, who's going to enforce it? But the question is, what can I do as a legislator when you keep electing the same people into leadership? I mean, let's look at our governor the other day who said he wanted to start a task force to bring in illegals and to give them jobs and to give them free college and to help them get a driver's license. That's what this task force, they actually want to start a whole new agency. We're supposed to be a government of less agencies, less bureaucracy, and instead we're trying to create more bureaucracy. That's what the Republicans say, less government, more local government. But yet here's the deal. Look what we created. We've created OMES, a disaster. That's the one that runs. So we created an administration for all state agencies. We didn't need it because guess what? Has administrations for agencies shrunk? No, they've grown. So all of this is going on, but yet we keep electing leaders. Give you an example. Who do you have in your Senate? You got the guy who wanted to make it legal for driver's license for illegals. Driver's license for illegals. Pretty certain he was on that. Go back and check me, see if I'm right on that. But those are the kind of people that we're putting in to our leadership positions. And again, the reason you can't get these bills, guess what? Because they don't want them. They keep them off. So I'm going to talk today about what I'm doing, and that's why I wanted to take this time. I want you to understand that, hey, it's a fight. If you're up there wanting to make change And I will tell you, most people go along to try to get their little bit done. And I'm not accusing, I don't mean that in a bad way, because if you were to go up there, I'm probably the most hated man in the Capitol. I don't say that frivolously. I don't say that untruthfully. I'm telling you, if you walked up there and said, who's the most hated guy, I'm pretty certain it's going to be me. And I'm going to explain why I'm the most hated guy. And I'm going to explain what I'm doing, because again, the bills are a joke. They put the bills through a process where they kill anything that's worth doing. They will kill it. It will never see the light of day. They let through things they want to pass. They steal things that they want credit for. Like that bill I was talking about, they stole it. You want to go look at another one? Go look at how they made illegals, how we can now arrest illegals. Go look at who originally run that bill. Watch how it got killed. Watch how it got resurrected. Person grabs it. Now they get credit. Now they're walking around saying, oh, look what bill I passed. No, that's the bill you stole. And again, you watered it down. So those are the things that I'm talking about, that you need to really kind of have people need to see it. You need to learn to see what's going on in government. And there's not a whole lot of people willing to come out here and tell you, because when you do, guess what? That means you're public enemy number one. And to be public enemy number one, I'm going to describe today what happens to you when you become public enemy number one. You want to see people up there fighting, then guess what? Look what's going on with them. Look at how they're going after them. That's the people who are fighting. So the first thing I want to tell you that I'm doing, I'm fixing to file a lawsuit. So I'm going to sue the House of Representatives. I'm going to sue my own branch, the House of Representatives. And I'm going to sue a couple of agencies, probably the Department of Corrections, but I'm looking at what I did. I dropped off a lawsuit, my request for a lawsuit, Tuesday. Now, when I say I'm going to sue them, let me say it this way. I intend to sue them. I want to sue them, but I got to get approval from these lawyers to say, yes, JJ, you have a pretty decent lawsuit. So I put together roughly 10 to 12 pages. I've documented the fool out of that. I mean, I provided documentation after documentation. And so I want to go down through just a little bit of why that I am going to sue the House, what's going on. So about a year and a half ago, I received a letter from the Department of Corrections, and it's an email, and the email said that we have made an agreement with your House leadership. So this is about a year and a half ago. We have made an agreement with your House leadership. You can no longer have records. Now, I want to stop you right there. This is a state agency. This is non-elected bureaucrats who are doing a disaster of a job. Disaster. This director is a disaster. Okay. And they're telling me, an elected official who is criminal justice corrections committee chairman. So again, I'm over the corrections, and they're telling me you cannot have public records. And we've made an agreement with your House to stop you from getting public records. And if you want to view anything by House agreement, I can come over there to their headquarters, look at that, but I have to sign a non-disclosure. Now, can you imagine the audacity? My gosh, that my House leadership would go along with that. And again, we'll have to go to court and find out, is that true? But I have all the documents of them saying it's true. And I can kind of explain today why I feel like there may be a lot of truth to this. And so again, regardless of whatever, the Department of Corrections refused to give me records. Now, they said I could sign a non-disclosure. Can you get that? That they're going to force me, an elected official, to sign a non-disclosure about public information that I no longer can tell you any public information. I have to come over and I have to sign a non-disclosure that I will not talk to anybody about anything going on in the Department of Corrections that I see. Now, you want to talk about insanity? We've hit insanity. Okay. Now, the reason they actually listed the reason was that I released non public information. So I turned around and asked them, what non public information have I released? Because remember, this is a public agency. Guys, if I go out and get arrested today in Atoka, guess what? I'm going to be on the front page. And in fact, I'll probably be on the front page all over the state because I'm a representative. Guess what? There's no confidentiality on arrest. If something happens in the penitentiary and somebody gets stabbed, that's not a confidential deal. There's no confidential in that. That's public record. They ought to be charging somebody. They ought to be, if they assault an officer, they're covering all of these things up so their numbers don't look bad. They're such big liars, and they're covering all this up. But our state agencies are allowing them to cover it up. They're working together to make sure that you don't find out how bad things really are. Now, here's the other part. Why this is so important. Why is all of this happening? Where's all the money going? We have half the employees. You can't get a straight answer. I tried to subpoena. So one of the things I tried to do is get subpoenas to say, how many employees do we actually have? Guess what? I was disallowed, would not allow me to get subpoenas. I was told, go ask them. So I did. And I've got all this on paper. I went and asked them. Guess what? They refused to give it to me. Now, can you get this? I'm chairman of corrections at the time. And I'm asking the Department of Corrections, I need these certain types of forms to actually see, because I don't want y'all lying. I want to see these forms so that I can actually add up how many people are actually coming to work, because I believe you're lying. Guess what? They refuse to give it to me. I go back and say, I want subpoenas. Guess what? They refuse to give it to me. And guess what? They say, you can't view them unless you come over here, sign a non-disclosure, so that if you find out we're lying to you, you can't tell nobody that you're lying to us, that they're lying. So again, it's insanity. So they've got it fixed to where our leadership knows all of this is going on. And guess what? If you are a person, so most of them up there, I will tell you, and I'm not being mean to anybody, I'm just telling you, most of them out there, legislators, are not digging in like I am to find these kind of issues. They're all worried about their little bills that amount to nothing, that won't get through unless leadership wants it to get through. They've got more ways to kill you than anything. They'll kill you in the house, or they'll let you pass it through the house so you can say, got it through the house, and then they'll run right over there to their Senate friends and go, hey, kill that bill right there. We see it all the time. Or they'll go to the governor, hey, don't allow that to pass. All kinds of ways where it looks like they're doing you a great favor. Oh, we're good for this area. We pass this bill. But in reality, no. If the bill don't get passed, if the bill don't get signed, then somebody's out to kill it, and there's some horseplay going on with it. You can just take that to the bank. That's the way it works. If they wanted it passed, it would pass. If they want it to fail, it will fail. That's the way it works. Now, anybody tells you, and they can pretend there's this great system and we have this checks and balances. No, bullcrap. They make a deal. I'll pass your bill. You get this one. I get this one. We don't want this one passed. It'll look better for you if you kill that. I'll kill yours over here. That's the way it works. Nothing gets passed that they don't want passed. Nothing goes that they don't want to go. If they do want it to go, they water it down, kind of like this bill I'm talking about. Foreign land ownership starts out a good thing, but guess what? By the time it gets out the gate on the other end, it's looking pretty wormy, okay? It doesn't do a whole lot. Guess what? When we're talking about illegals, same kind of deal. We're going to hijack that. When we're talking about giving raises, guess what? That's a good idea. If you wanted to look at 781 money they were supposed to do by state question, I passed that bill 6 years later, 6 years later. When they were ordered to do it, I passed the bill to fund that where it would come back to the counties. Guess what? The budget chairman in the Senate killed it. Guess who run it the next year? Budget Senate chairman. So he kills my bill. He hijacks it. He steals it for himself, but he bastardizes it. He watered it down. Guess where all the money goes today? To the worthless mental health department that can't do anything with. We're spending millions, and what do you get for it? Nothing. Nothing. And that's what we see in these agencies. So I'm drilling down, trying to call out this. And guess what? I'm being told that my House leadership goes over, and I got it in writing, goes over, makes a deal. I can't have records, got to go over their office, view it, sign a non-disclosure, and it's because I released non-public information. The information that was released, I didn't get from them. I got it out in the woods. I got it on 55 Ranch, and this is the honest truth. It got put out on 55 Ranch. I got it on 55 Ranch, and it was human rights. They were locking people in 2x2 squares, old showers that no longer work, 2x2 squares. The employees came in and said, this is human rights violation. So they had some employees on loan to that institution because they didn't have enough help. These employees come in and say, hey, this will get you sued. This is human rights violations. This will get you thrown in jail. And guess what? So again, if you don't think that, look at the guy on Floyd that had his foot on the neck. If you go back and look, that's actually training. They teach that. I think in certain areas training. I didn't get trained that way, but I do think they teach it. But again, he's doing time in prison for not checking that person's breathing. Okay, no criminal intent didn't look like, just not checking the person's breathing. Okay, now when you intentionally lock people in a 2x2 cell, withhold food, withhold water, these officers come in and said, man, this is bad. We're going to let them out. They let them out. The brass shows back up. You put them back in there. It's for punishment, which is critical. When you're putting them in there for punishment, you're getting in a big, ugly mess. Putting them in punishment, withholding food, withholding water, no bathroom breaks. These officers trying to help them went back in and said, hey, here's some trash bags. Here's a cup. Go bathroom in. Now, that's what we're talking about was in these reports. Now, I wrote them and said, and I have the email where I wrote them and said, hey, y'all got a problem, need to fix this. They wrote me back, no problem. So, yes, I did put some of this out, information, to the Oklahoma Watch. Oklahoma Watch made a great report. Then DOC went and made a 102-page investigation. What a sham. What a sham. And that investigation is their worst nightmare because it proves, I have a copy of that, it proves they had these incident reports the whole time they wrote that. We know that. I can prove that. I wrote them and told them about it. I know they had it, and yet they come up with a 102-page lie to cover all of this up. And that's what they're saying I released, and that's why we can't have anything. Now, I came out with investigations on rape. We put together packets. We gave it to the AG. The AG refused. He comes in, and AG did more damage because he come in and he said, I did an investigation. I go back to the AG and say, well, did you talk, or his staff, not directly to him, his staff, did you talk to the whistleblower, the one who come up with all this? No. Well, part of the investigation was whistleblower allegations, whistleblower violation. How can you do a whistleblower violation investigation and never talk to the whistleblower? Can I get a witness? That's pretty hard to do. That's a pretty shoddy investigation, if I say so myself. So here's the deal. I put together the whole package, me and this whistleblower. Actually, she did more work. I just kind of sat back and said, hey, let's do this. But I got it all put together, made it pretty and everything. So here's the deal. We had a big, beautiful investigation. Did they talk to one of the victims? No. Did they talk to the reporting parties? No. Did they talk to me? No. Did they talk to the 40 witnesses that we had in the book? No. I tried to subpoena the DOC investigator. Guess what? They refused to even answer me. DOC refused to answer me. I tried to go through our leadership to get a subpoena for these people. They would not give it to me. They said, ask, go ask. I asked, I got it in writing. I asked, and then I turned around and said, hey, I've asked you for this. You said ask. I asked. I told you they wouldn't do anything. Now they're not doing anything. Can I get a subpoena? The answer is no. I never got a subpoena for any of this to prove that rapes were occurring and they were covering them up. Got massive amounts of evidence. So we went and got it on video. Once we got it on video, oh, yeah, okay. So they charged the one individual on video, but they never went back and looked at any of this. I made them aware of the shower incidents. Guess what? We got astronomical evidence. Did our AG do anything? No. Did our leadership do anything? No. And DOC keeps covering it up. So we come down to now we have murders. We've got extortion being covered up. We've had articles written on that. We have people getting stabbed 80 times, head cut off, gang raped, and we're doing all of these things, showing all of this stuff all the time. Documentation. One of the guys, inmate, gets beat up. They film the beating. This is how audacious that the inmates have become. They are doing beatings and filming themselves and not trying to cover their faces, filming themselves, showing them beating this guy, 8 or 9, 10 of them. They hold him down after they tie him up, and they write void with the tattoo gun, and no little void. I mean, it was a big void on his forehead, and film the whole deal and put it out on YouTube. Can you imagine that? The inmates are running the asylum. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we're reporting all this, but you know what? Because the governor put his good friend in there who has no experience, no training, no education on corrections. He's a disaster. The governor has allowed him. Now, I can't find 1 ounce of authority. I did an open records, a FOIA, what they call it, and said, I want to see the authorization that you have by the governor to give yourself a $90,000 raise. Get this, he was making $185,000. He gave himself a $90,000 raise. Okay, that's called embezzlement, by the way, if you don't have authorization. Guess what? I have it in writing where they said no record available. No record available to tell you how we got this 90-something thousand raise. I have that in writing. Okay, and if you can't produce that, then guess what? That's called embezzlement. So we have all of this stuff that nobody wants to talk about. So I decided that I would file a Open Records Act. So I started keeping all the records. Well, what happens is last year when our speaker is terminated out, he's getting ready to leave. We're going to get a new speaker, and everybody's thinking it may be this one person. They ain't pretty certain who it probably going to be. And it comes back to me from people he told that he is out saying that when he is elected, that my committee will be done for, the committee that I was chairing would be done, and that I would never get a bill passed. Okay? That's that session, which was last year. Guess what? They assigned one bill. We end up getting a couple more, but they assigned one bill to that committee. I had a couple of bills that would be corrections bills. And guess what? They don't even come to my committee, which is, wow. You're the chairman of corrections. There's only one corrections committee in the House and Senate, and yet the corrections bills aren't even coming to me, the correctional chairman. Your own bills. Normally, a chairman will get his own bills. Normally, corrections goes to corrections. Not with these guys. No. Nope. One bill, boom, there. Now, we picked up a couple of other bills just by me working and trying to get them. And that former speaker did give me a good bill. He assigned a good bill to me. I will give him credit on that. Very decent bill, which they killed in the Senate. Wow. Okay, so here's the thing. We have the guy that was probably going to be speaker, who is now speaker, telling us in advance. So what I did, I wrote him a letter and said, hey, you know what? I always got along with you. You've been friendly. That's been your best quality. You've now put yourself in a position and around people who are pretty nasty. and you're becoming nasty yourself, look at yourself, how you're going at it already. And if you want to go after me, that's fine. When y'all give me time and you put time on my hands by taking all this away, then I will personally, when you attack me, because here's the deal, I don't eat my own team. These people are cannibals. Now, if you want to go back and look, go get a New York Times where our own party took out 14 or so of our own party, that they got dark money and used it to take out our own party. So if you don't think they cannibalize, okay? But I'm not them. I don't play that game. But when they go after me, then it's fair game. You're going to go attack me. Guess what? You want to fight? We'll give you a fight. We'll see where the chips fall, and we'll see who's standing when all the blood and the guts go, okay? So that's what we're going to do. But they come in and they said that, I was done, not going to get any more bills. And sure enough, guess what? He has a private meeting in August with the OC. I found out, had a little, meeting up in Bristow. I got the documents to prove that. But here's the thing. They come back in. What do? They terminate the criminal justice and corrections. Now, why is that important? What's going on? Well, let me tell you something. I turned over OMMA, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana, for gross abuses in how they were handling monies with no purchase orders, and their second in command trying to do business with the company his wife works for, millions of dollars, turned all of this in where they're firing. They had a division, and they falsified why they fired people. They lied about it big time, saying they didn't have any money when we gave them 4.9 million more. And they even said, well, our fees aren't coming in. They don't even collect fees. We give them their total appropriations. They don't get fees. So they lied. They fired this group. But where they fired the most people out of one division, 97% of that division was white, but 100% of the people they fired out of that division was black. These are huge issues that ought to be addressed. Guess what? Nobody else is addressing them. So I get a hold of where a whistleblower, I got whistleblowers coming in. I get a hold of a whistleblower coming in, reporting at the Greer Mental Health Institution there in Enid that they are waterboarding mental health children. Now, I want you to hear, y'all ought to get pissed. Everybody across the state. I can't believe that this has come out and everybody's acting like no big deal. I don't hear anybody upset over this. I'm fired up over this. Our mental health children, many of them who can't even talk or whatever, were being possibly, allegedly, reportedly, but the whistleblower come forward, waterboarded. Whistleblower had pictures of kids being abused, bruises, stomped on the face, footprints on the face, all kinds of things. And yet, guess what was done? Nothing. The DA up there, nothing. Okay. So we find out also that the Tulsa Detention Center had employees raping kids, employees raping the residents, the kids at this detention center. We sent people to tell them. They knew. We have paperwork to show they knew. And guess what? The feds come in and raided and verified all this truth. Now, we work with the group, and this group comes together, puts this all together. They're called Appleseed. They're a 501(c)(3). They're a group of lawyers and some investigators. They put together a really comprehensive package, about 350 pages. And we sent that to the AG. We sent it to the governor. We sent it to the speakers. We sent it to the pro tems. Guess what? Nothing. So I jumped up and had a hearing in which they tried to stop me from having a hearing. Went ahead and had the hearing. We produced mountains of evidence of these things going on. We had Appleseed in there report that. We had a DHS worker, whistleblower, come in and report a case that was just mind-blowing, how they tried to file charges on that worker and everything else. Then we had another person report on their case being back, opened up for investigation with all the atrocities. And we got another case come in, and these cases are documented. They're not like, oh, we believe. No, we have documents. So we spent a couple hours verifying all of this is going on. The law says that if a committee with the majority can order an OSBI investigation. So that committee came together. The majority of us signed on, said we want an OSBI investigation. We had other legislators come and sign with us that are not part of that committee, but signed on with us. Guess what? Our own leadership come back and said, we don't think you're authorized. Well, there's a law kind of says we are. Well, we don't care. I said, well, okay, fine. If I'm not authorized, let's get together and get the people who are authorized. Guess what? Nothing. Shut us down, wouldn't let us investigate it. So again, what I've done, because they won't let me get information out, they go in and terminate me because they don't want me. They're shutting me down. They're shutting the only committee down that was at the Capitol that were bringing these things out consistently, calling out the gross abuse of our government. And guys, if you don't think money's behind this, I completely believe money is behind this. I'm digging into who's got businesses that are making money with DHS, who's got businesses with DOC, and how do these people retire and go to work somewhere else or get money. I'm looking into all of those things because I believe that's at the heart of this. So again, when you look at Washington, what's getting exposed, I don't have the ability. I'm not an Elon Musk. I'm just a little old country boy trying to get to the bottom of it. But guess what? I'm getting to enough that they terminate me, that they do away with my chairmanship, terminate the committee that's doing the work. And guess what? I didn't get a bill passed this year. I didn't get nothing. I mean, that you want to talk about what they predicted last year they were going to do? They did it. The only difference is I documented what they said they were going to do, and I've documented that they've done exactly what they said. Now they have shut me down from using our House staff, my assistant. They went in and threatened them to fire them if they help me on mine. So get this, I am an elected official. All of this stuff I produced as an elected official, but they're saying I can't get it to prove that they're doing all of these gross violations. So a little handful of people are saying, we're not going to let you have any of your documents. We're not going to let the staff. Well, last I checked, the staff worked for the people of Oklahoma, the elected people that represent the people of Oklahoma. It didn't work for a handful. So when we're talking about the caucus, the Republican Party, we're not talking about 6 people. I'm part of that party. Guess what? I am fighting to protect that party. They are trying to harm the party. They are going after their own, cannibalizing their own, putting money out against their own, stopping bills, stopping legislation, killing leadership positions to make sure that you don't use those to expose all this, making agreements with these off the grid state agencies who are wasting more money than Carter got oats. And that's who they're making deals with and making promises and going after me. And so now they've tried to use the employees. Well, here's the funny, I got a guy named Mike Reynolds who came to me the other day showing me that those employees work for us, not them. Thanks, Mike, for doing that. I am going to get with you, Mike. Look forward to talking to you. That Mike's already filed a lawsuit. This thing went all the way. The Supreme Court come back and said, Mike, you just don't have standing. It has to be a legislator. Well, guess what? I'm a legislator, so I can bring it. So what Mike found was that staff has to be approved by the whole body. They don't work for a little handful that go up there every year and they'd say, we're going to hire this one, hire that one. We're going to pay them whatever we want. No, they work for us, and the whole body has to approve them and has to prove their salary. So again, we're going to file a lawsuit. I've already taken it over and said, here's the lawsuit. It's already ready. They're getting it digitized so I can put it out to all of the news media that they can have all these exhibits showing I'm not lying. Here it is. We will get all of that out. We're going to put it out on national news, I hope, because I think people ought to know that Oklahoma is covering up waterboarding children, covering up sexual molestation of children. By the way, I got 2 more places already reported. Who you going to tell to? Covering up rapes of inmates, covering up horrific human rights violations, extortion, murder. I'm working on exposing some murder stuff that will just be, if I'm right, will be unbelievable, blow the lid off a lot of things. So again, there's people ought to be going to jail on these embezzlements, on the human rights violations, and on covering all this stuff up. So again, that's what I'm filing the lawsuit, open records. But what I'm hoping is by filing all the exhibits that people will get to see exactly what we're talking about covered up. Now out of this, because now they've tried to use, oh, you can't have any of our staff pull any records for you. All these records that we have that you produced, you can't have them to use against us to show that we're grossly negligent. Well, guess what? News bulletin, I already got all of them. I kept my mouth shut till I had it all and then went out. Okay. Got it all, guys. So y'all can stop whatever you want. I've got that part of it. So here's the thing. I'm going to follow up with a possible another lawsuit to say those staff don't work for you. They work for us. I'm going to check to see whether I can get that done. Now, this brings up another thing I'm working on, grand juries, okay? So we came out with a grand jury because they stopped us from investigating this waterboarding and all these sexual things, taking kids out of home improperly without proper hearings. Go look at the Woolley case. We've raised that. Daryl Doherty's got a case. Mandy Reed's got a case. Rosario Chico's got a case. We produced numerous cases to them where all of these things are going on, okay? And so what we did, we went and put all these cases in, and we got all the evidence, and we went and got a petition. Now, the judge in Oklahoma City wouldn't originally accept our petition, because he said you had to hand carry it. We got it hand carried down to him. He did approve it. We went and tried to get all the signatures, had a little problem. We knew we probably would have a problem. But what we wanted to do, we wanted to attach the evidence to this petition, which is legal, which you can do. The reason we wanted to attach that evidence to the petition as part of the petition is because guess what? An official, so somebody like a judge, if they see evidence that kids are being harmed, kids are being abused, kids are in danger, under an act that started here in Oklahoma, Kelsey Briggs Act, they are required to immediately act, to go get an investigation, grand jury, something, okay? So the judge wouldn't let us attach our exhibits, okay? And so we sent a person down there, the original petitioner, and he would not let us attach those. He wouldn't take them. So what I did, I wrote him what we call a certified email where he has to check and get it. And I put these attachments on it. He accepted that. When he did, okay, I got you. There we go. Now, he's closed that case without ever letting us present any of that. I call that an obstruction of justice. We'll see. So I filed what we call an amicus brief. I think I'm not Latin, but I think that means a friend of the court. You'd have to go back and check me. Amicus brief. And so what we did, we went into Supreme Court and we said, Oklahoma Supreme Court, and said, hey, your honors, look right here. This is obstruction. This is endangering children. This goes against Kelsey Briggs. We got to do something. And we're under time restraint. We can't be sitting out here. We've already been 6 months trying to do this stuff. Kids are being harmed. Now, I fully expect, and I'll be shocked if the Oklahoma Supreme Court doesn't throw that out because I'm too short or I don't have enough hair or they think I should wear a straw hat instead of a felt hat. They'll find some lame brain excuse to throw it out. I have total confidence that's what's going to happen. But here's what, and just let me kind of clue y'all in. So if any of y'all, Supreme Court people actually tune into this, then we're going to get grand juries around the state. And we're going to have these cases be part of those grand juries. So if we can get a grand jury in Garfield, guess what? That case, that waterboarding kids, and we're going to call every one of y'all from the AG, every one of y'all who had your hands on that, governor, the Supreme Courts, the judges, legislators. Guess what? Leadership, you're going to get called in and said, why would you turn your back? Why would you turn a blind eye? And why would you stop? You don't want to investigate it, but why would you stop an investigation from occurring on kids being molested, on DHS covering up, OJA covering up, OCCY covering up? Why would you stop rape investigations that are not participate, not give subpoenas? Why would you not allow more investigation into human rights violations, extortions, murders, the like? And we're going to try to get that stuff out there. Grand juries all over. So we're working right now to try to get grand juries in 2 counties. Now, we had a grand jury go several years ago in Potawatomi County, and that new DA up there just came out. I think I saw it Friday, possibly Thursday or Friday. He come out with the request. So they handed back indictments, but nothing's ever been done. This has been a couple of years. Nothing's ever been done. We went up there and had a protest on their courthouse lawn, many of us. And so here's what we're doing. That DA just now asked our AG for a multi-grand jury, multi-county grand jury. Now, guess what, Mr. AG? You want to be Oklahoma's governor. Wow. If you can't protect kids and you won't do this, you got no business even running for governor. Take your name out. You don't even deserve to have your name in there if you can't take care of this and make this happen. And so, again, that's what I will be writing on Monday to say, hey, I support this guy's calling out the AG for it, writing this guy saying thank you for stepping up and doing the right thing. So we got all of that going on. We got lots of evidence to back this up, many, many things. I've got about 15 more minutes, so I just want to quickly run over a lot of the other stuff. Guys, I am involved in so many things that I can't even get to all of them, but I'm going to try to hit several more in this 15 minutes, so I'm going to go pretty quickly. So a couple of years ago, we had ATF come and raid the home of a school teacher, preacher, and federal firearms person. If you look at that, Biden come out. Biden said we're going after the federal firearms licensed dealers. So he's trying to stop all the guns. He's trying to attack your Second Amendment. And he comes in here, Oklahoma. They come in and raid this guy. Now, he'd let him come in and search his house. He'd let him come in and search his computer. Guess what? If he's willing to allow them, why do they need a search warrant? They've done searched it. They've done went through his computer. Why would they have to have a search warrant? And if they'd wanted to search, he would allow them to search anything that they wanted. He'd been fully cooperative. Instead, they black ops put on the black uniforms, come out there, handcuff this preacher, teacher in front of his kid, screaming and holler at him, tear down his surveillance equipment so that you can't get a real idea of what happened. And then they took his guns. Now, here's the deal. They didn't file a charge on him yet because they made him the subject of a grand jury. They put him into this grand jury. So here's the question. How do you seize somebody's property if you ain't even filed a crime on them yet? Now, here's even a better question. He had roughly 160, 180 guns. They seized half. Now, I will give them credit. You got to give the AT credit. They took the good guns. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know the difference between guns. So they took the good guns. So credit to them that they are experts on what's a worthy gun, what's a good gun. So they took the good guns, half. Now, let me ask you something. How do you take half? What law says we'll go into a house and if the ATF wants to take your guns, they can take half? There is no law. If he'd violated the law, they took everything or they take nothing. Okay? They took half, wrote him a letter. I have the letter saying, we'll pay you $10 a gun. some of these guns worth $1,000, $4,000. I mean, multi-$1,000 guns right here. Okay, they're offering paying $10, make it go away. That's called extortion by government. There is actually a statute here in Oklahoma, extortion by government. That's what that is. When you tear down surveillance equipment in the course of a crime, which if they were doing extortion and stealing, they stole his firearms because they had no legal right to it. They stole his firearms. They gave him extortion. They turned around, tore down his surveillance equipment. If I break into your house with the intent to commit a crime, tearing down your surveillance equipment is another crime because I'm covering up my criminal activity. That's the crime. When they left, they told him, tell all your federal firearms buddies we're coming after them. That's called a terroristic threat. I don't care who you are. That's a terroristic threat. They had the ability to carry it out. Guess what? They should have been charged. Our AG lacked the moral courage to file on the ATF. He couldn't get it done. So I have written the president. I have written Pam Bondi. I have written Kash Patel. I wrote all of our legislators. Our legislators need to make sure that this gets to the president. I'm asking for a pardon, but I don't just want a pardon. I want to see these dirty bastards prosecuted. They come in, they treated this teacher, preacher wrongly, and it is time we hold them accountable. Anybody try to steal your firearms, steal your rights, do that here in Oklahoma. Let's arrest them. Let's charge them, and let's give them a dose of their own medicine. And let's find somebody who's got the guts to do it, because I guess AG don't have the guts to do it and have the moral courage. So I'm pretty jacked up on that. I'm pretty upset on that. It's time that we call our legislators. Guys, get involved in all this. Call your legislators up there in Washington, D.C. and say, hey, get on this, get this guy's guns back. Let's get the ATF charged, and let's get him a pardon. So working on that. Another big thing that I'm working on, I worked on Richard Glossop, which is a murder case. Richard's been on the gurney 3 times to be executed. Only thing that saved him was they got the wrong medicine. He was about 2 seconds away, I think, from being executed. But we went in, did an investigation, found where the DA had gotten. In fact, we got an affidavit from their own investigator saying that the DA's told him to put key evidence in a box, put the wrong case number on it, and burn it, was my understanding. And so again, they violated the law, obstructed justice. They sent a letter to the only witness that, by the way, it's the person who killed the guy. We all know that. And said, hey, your testimony, he's already sworn to it. So he's done sworn testimony. They say your testimony doesn't line up with medical examiners. Would you change your testimony? And by the way, here's what we want you to say. That's perjury, supporting perjury, and that's witness tampering. Stack that on obstruction. They withheld evidence. Guess what? We put that in front of the appellate court here in Oklahoma, and they said, go ahead and kill him. We set it in front of the pro board. They said, go ahead and kill him. We got it in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, probably one of the most conservative, not probably, they are the most conservative court in my lifetime, and they agreed with us and said, you have a new trial. So that should scream that we got a lot of problems in our criminal justice system, including our DAs, including our appellate court process, including our pro process. When you can point out obvious, gross, not misconduct, we're talking felony crimes, that they were using crimes to convict this man. Why? Now, I got another case behind that, a guy named David Fleener, that we hope to show some of the same things, and we hope to get him out. But one of the things I'm working on now, I told the AG back last year that the DAs were collecting probation fees, that in 2012, they were told these fees have to be used for the actual act of supervision, meaning they're earmarked. They can't spend them for anything else. They cannot fund their office. They must be used for the actual act of probation, and you actually have to do it. Otherwise, it is fraud. The DAs kept doing probation fraudulently. They kept collecting the money fraudulently. Now, these are attorneys who the appellate court told directly, they're the ones who filed it, and the appellate court said you can't do it. So in 2013, they ran in, passed another bill that said we can collect $40 whether we supervise or not. Guess what? That's called a prosecution fee. So they passed a bill. They can do that. The deal is it didn't nullify what the court said, so they can't collect both. If they collect a supervision fee, then they must use it as the court has told them. Now, the AG come back and said, JJ don't understand the law. Bullcrap. I understand the law just great. That's what the appellate court said. They went and tried to bypass it and go around them, but they didn't go around them. They just created a new fee, but they can't do away with this one because the appellate court told them what it is. I went out now because the AG said, oh, JJ don't understand. Wasn't going to do me no good to argue with the AG, top lawyer in the state, and me. So what I did, I went out and found 40,000 entries of supervision fee, marked supervision fee. AG, you can't argue it. Mr. Drummond, you can't argue. 40,000, 55 million, tracked it to 4 counts. Those 4 counts were in the DA Council Association, DAC, DA's Council. Okay. So here's what we did. We tracked those to the DA Council, 4 accounts. Those 4 accounts were sent to the Capital Fund. So we have a general fund in the Capitol. So they took all this 55 million, dumped it over into there. Now, once it left their hands, Ray Charles could see it. Ray Charles could see it in the dark. It's fraud. They did not use the money for what they were told. They did not use it for probation. They collected it. They didn't provide probation supervision. They falsely collected the money. Then they falsely used the money to put it over here. And that money turns around and gets funneled back into their account, back into their budget. So now it's clean. Now they can use it for whatever they want right there in their budget. It's called money laundering. And here's the deal. I know in 2019, when all of this done, they sat down and they come up with this scheme. So I personally believe, this is what I believe, we have them for fraud. This is what I believe is that we have them for money laundering. And I think we probably could get them for conspiracy to set all of this up. So that's going to be House leadership. That's going to be the DAs. Now, again, that causes a little ruckus up there because now, guess what? All of these things, when you call out the AG for not taking care of the ATF issue, for not taking care of waterboarding issues, for not taking care of rapes and all of these things, when you call out our leadership and you say, hey, you're all covering up DA fraud and you're all in it together, you even conspired together to make it happen, people tend to get mad. Last thing I'm going to talk about, I got about 5 minutes. We're really running through all these. I could get in way more detail. But here's the deal. We come out with COVID. I work with people all over the United States, doctors, lawyers, researchers, and we come up, they wrote a brief. We had a study this summer on it, wrote a brief on how that ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine were known FDA approved, great drugs to actually attack and not cure, but to treat COVID. Okay, great treatment for COVID. Okay, now Fauci comes in and says it's terrible, don't use it. He comes out with remdesivir. Remdesivir is a drug that they knew that was used to treat Ebola many years before that. Fauci was involved in that, killed about 53%, if I remember right, of the people who took it. They knew it was a terrible deal, but they presented it. So they said, you cannot take. They went after doctors. They went after their payment ways. So they stopped paying for any kind of drug that would treat you. They shamed doctors. They went after doctors' licenses. They went after these pharmacists to stop them from giving you ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. And they stepped in with a terrible drug that they knew were killing folks. They separated you from your family. This is called protocol. They separate you from your family when you went in. They started sedating you like you wouldn't believe. I mean, stuff that would knock down an elephant they was giving people. Then they turned around, withheld food, withheld water, giving remdesivir, and they prepped you, and they were paying for all of this. They prepped you, put you on a vent, and kill you. And that's what happened across the United States. It happened here in Oklahoma. We have 2 very brave women who have worked very hard, put together their cases of their loved ones. They came forward. I worked with them to show that they had a case on all this. And here's the protocol. Look at this protocol, look at these women's work and the cases, and guess what? There you go. It's all laid out for you. I got all of this to the AG. I worked with these two women to get these cases over to the AG. I worked with this group to get all of that information, that brief, and I wrote a probable cause affidavit to look at. We have a RICO case. So RICO's organized crime. In Oklahoma, we have the Oklahoma Criminal Enterprise Act. It's like RICO. All of these crimes. And if you want to look, kidnapping fits here, battery fits here, assaults, all these frauds where they signed saying, yeah, you had consent, which was a lie in these cases. So we got all of this. I've prepared all that. I've given it to the AG. The immunities, which are now in question because of the auto pen, looks like that's going out the door, Mr. Fauci. But we don't need that. Here in Oklahoma, he does not have immunity. He does not have state. We've got a case already made. The AG, there were 16, 17 AGs, went out and said they wanted to do this. Pretty certain our AG wasn't one of them. Our AG has all this already made for him. He should have been the first one out to join with these other AGs, but he didn't because he don't care about Oklahomans. He don't care about you. And again, whether it be on rapes, whether it be on child molestation, whether it be on torture, children being tortured, whether it be on our ATF, protecting your Second Amendment, whether it be on DAs committing fraud, or whether it be on COVID and Fauci getting arrested, our AG gets a big fat zero. And again, we're looking at the entire House have done nothing but fought me on every one of these issues. They have not helped me on none of this. We have massive proof on all of it. It's time something's done. I'm tired of people bitching. I'm tired of people griping. It's time to go after some people. So again, I can't get any help from our Oklahoma governor, from our AG. So guess what? I'm going to go after them in the form of lawsuits, calling this stuff out and showing the American public and the Oklahoma public what's been going on. That's a lot to say in about an hour. I'm going to wrap it up. I just want you to know I am working my honey off for not just District 19, the district I represent, but I'm representing the entire state. I need you to jump up and join me in this fight. Y'all go to jj4ok.com, jj4ok.com. Help me out in this fight. Join me and let's get together and make something happen. Y'all have a blessed day.